So the idea stays the same. When you're taking the square root of any function, the square root of 0 is 0, the square root of 1 is 1. So the first thing you're going to look at when you look at these graphs, are there any points where the y value is equal to 0? Yes. We've got a y value equal to 0 here, and a y value equal to 0 there. Are there any points where the y values are equal to 1? Yes. We've got a y value equal to 1 there, and a y value equal to 1 there. The next thing you can do, if you want to add a couple more points, look for some values that you can take the square root of easily. Like you know the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Where is it equal to 4? Right there. So this value will be 2. I go from 4 right there, that value will be 2 as well. Between 0 and 1, your graph will be slightly above. After 1, your graph will be below. So if we connect the dots here, I'm going to have my graph go slightly above there and then below after. And this one is going to be a little bit tough. You have to be careful because it's going to be tempting to do this. And that might lose a half a mark on the left-hand side. Because you see that I went back in time a little bit to make it slightly above. So I'm going to erase that. And in some cases, your slightly above part might look like it's right on the line, and that's okay. Just try to do it slowly, try to make it just barely over the line. For part B, we're going to look at our y values. Are there any y values where it's equal to 0? Yes. Here and here. Any y values equal to 1? Yes. There and there. Any square roots that we can do easily? Well, the highest point is at 9. What's the square root of 9? 3. So connecting these slightly above and notice that wherever your graph was negative, and I'll highlight our graph in negative in blue here. Can you see that this is where your graph was negative, and here your graph was negative? With the square root of that, nothing exists between there. So in part B of this question it says, state the domain and range of your black graph. Well, for the first one, our domain is in two different parts. It is x is less than or equal to 1, or x is bigger than or equal to 5. So you could write it this way in set notation. Or if you wanted to use interval notation, so if I start from the left, I'm going to start at negative infinity, and I'm going to include all my x values until I get to positive 1. Then I'm going to start again at 5 and go forever to infinity. So you could write it in either of those notations. For your range, you can either write it in set notation. What's our smallest y value? Is at 0, and it goes up forever. So you could say your range was y is greater than or equal to 0. Or in interval notation, you could start at 0, square bracket means that it's included, and go up to infinity. For part B, your x values for your domain, they go between -3 and 3. So in set notation, you could write it like this. Or in interval notation, square brackets on both sides, it goes from -3 to 3. For your range, in set notation, the smallest value is 0. The largest value is 3. Or in interval notation, you could go from 0 to 3. Question for practice is number 8.